It's been a long time since we've seen Christian Watson take any snaps as a Green Bay Packer, but the cool thing is we might not have to wait much longer. On today's show, we're going to answer this question. Is Christian Watson coming back from PUP soon? Remember, practice windows opened up this week for all those who, when roster cutdown happened at the end of August, were placed on the PUP list or were placed on injured reserve. So basically what that means is if they come back to practice, it's a 21-day period in which a player on IR or PUP can begin to practice without taking up a spot on the active 53-man roster. However, the catch is if they're not activated to that roster or play in a game after 21 days of that practice window being open, then they have to be put on season-ending IR. So you have to be strategic with it. If you feel like there's a player that might not be able to come back for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you can't just open up that 21-day practice window if you think they're going to need more time than that, because if they don't get back, if they don't play after that 21-day window is closed, then you have them gone for the rest of the season. Before we tell you specifics on our man Christian Watson, I got to shout you guys out for how awesome you guys have been to me all season long and really since we started this channel back in late January. We are climbing our way up the Chat Sports Power Rankings, and we're doing it very rapidly, okay? We passed Titans today, passed the Bulls report. Up next, who we want to pass, and I want to do it in the next, let's say, 2.5 weeks. By the end of October, okay? I want to pass the Ohio State football report. They right now are 1,100 subs above us. I need us to pass them as quickly as you can. Let's get up that power ranking as quickly as we can, and just like we've been doing all season long. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. So Matt LaFleur spoke to the media following the tie against the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, he was asked specifically about Christian Watson because it was time to open up those practice windows. He responded with, yep, that's been in discussion. We know Matt LaFleur usually likes to keep things a little bit closer to the vest, especially when it comes to injury things. So I don't want to say that response was something very surprising. But the good thing is, you know what? Let's go past Matt LaFleur. Let's go straight to the source itself. Matt Schneidman with this tweet saying that Watson previously said he expects to practice on Monday when the Packers return on the bye, but that it's ultimately up to the training staff. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with opening up that practice window, right? Because when you open up that practice window, it doesn't mean he has to play that following week. If you open it up this next Monday, he still can sit out for that first game, that second game, and as long as he's playing by that third one, everything is fine. It's been an interesting last couple of months for Christian Watson. January 5th was when he tore that ACL against the Bears. And then May 5th, he was quoted by saying, recovery is going great. Then June 24th, about a month later, he's running routes on his Instagram story. We're freaking out about it. And then we all got to remember what happened just a couple weeks ago. They signed him to that one-year extension, locking him down past that rookie contract. Now, when you look at what's next for the Green Bay Packers, of course, they're in their bye week right now. Week 6, they take on the Bengals. Week 7, they take on the Cardinals. Week 8, they're on the road in Acrisure Stadium against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then week 9, they're back home against the Panthers. I love Watson. I really do. Cannot wait to see him back on the field. I truly think when he's back on, it's going to change everything for this offense. But do you rush him back? Like, you got to ask yourself, can Green Bay beat Cincinnati without him? And Gage, if you mind putting up the schedule next to these next couple of L3s, can Green Bay beat Cincinnati without him? Because that's who they've got up next right after this bye week is over. And then you look at the week following that, and they take on the Arizona Cardinals. Can Green Bay beat the Arizona Cardinals without him? I think the answer to both of those questions are yes. Have you looked that great the past 2 weeks? No, you haven't. Not by a long shot. But I still believe in this team. I still believe in the players that are on this team. And I think you can beat a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals, and I think you can beat the Arizona Cardinals, even though that one's on the road. If I'm calling the shots, like if I'm Brian Gutekunst, if I'm Matt LaFleur, if I'm the head doctor on this training staff, which, praise the Lord, I'm not, because everybody on this team would be out for the season, even though we're already going through a lot of injuries. If I'm calling the shots, Christian Watson's going to be back by that Steelers game. I'm not going to rush him back any sooner than that. This is an ACL injury. He's a guy that's been injury prone throughout the entirety of his career. I don't want to make any mistakes. I'd rather have him for many more games in the latter half of the year than rush him back quicker, and he's got to miss something late because he tweaks something, re-injures something. So again, I think those next 2 games you will win without him, but when you go on the road against Pittsburgh, I want this team to be as close to full strength as they can be. I want you to make the call for me. Would you play Watson against the Cincinnati Bengals? Give me a yes or give me a no. He might practice on Monday, and if he does, that means technically he'd be good to go for Sunday. Cincy, would you play him? You let me know your answer. Coming up on today's show, the reason you guys clicked into this video, why exactly this Christian Watson news changes everything. But of course, before that, I got to tell you about our awesome sponsor. Before we go any further, I got to give a shout out to my favorite sponsor on today's show. That is our great friends at Underdog. Football is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Let's cut to the chase. If you download the app today and sign up with promo code Packers Report, you score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You want to know how easy it is? Well, your boy won $100, over $100 on Underdog for that Sunday night football game of Cowboys versus Packers. What I did was higher on Dak Prescott, 0 pass and rush yards. Sometimes they give you awesome discounts like that. I went the higher on Matthew Golden first quarter receptions, the higher on Jordan Love passing yards. And again, so easy to make money. I made over 100 with our great friends at Underdog. So download the app today. Sign up with promo code Packers Report to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Packers Report. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. The number one reason why this changes everything, you just get another really good weapon for Jordan. And I think that's just going to give this offense just another little bit of a gear that I don't want to say it's been missing, but it sure would help to have it in it, right? And when you look at the guys, the pass catchers that Green Bay has currently, Jaden Reed, he's out probably the next 10 to 12 weeks. We'll actually talk more about that in a couple of minutes. Tucker Kraft, he's not at 100% right now. Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, both of those guys are rookies. And then you got Dontavian Wicks. And so you got some good names, but there's some injuries. There's some young guys still working through the growing pains of the National Football League. And in my opinion, I don't know if this is crazy or not, but I'm personally in the business of surrounding my quarterback with as many good weapons as I can. And the cool thing about it is Jordan Love has already been pretty phenomenal. Even with the injuries that they've sustained in the wide receiver room, even with those rookies, he's putting up top numbers. Not just for him, but in the National Football League. 1,000 yards on the season passing. That's 5th in the NFL. His completion percentage, 8th best in the NFL. Touchdowns, 6th best. Interceptions, tied for 2nd best. Quarterback rating, 3rd best. This dude has been unbelievable. And so if you add Christian Watson to that formula, I believe those numbers only go up. Because not only is Christian Watson a weapon, but when you have multiple weapons on the field, they open up other guys. Because the defensive coordinators, they got to scheme differently. They got to play things differently when you have so many different guys across the field. That can hurt you. Number 2, I got to ask this question of, is this team lacking a playmaker? And I want to be careful when I ask that. Because it might just be me. But it feels a little bit like this team right now through the first 4 games of the season is lacking a guy who can create a big play out of absolutely nothing. And I love Matthew Golden. I love Romeo Doubs. They've been phenomenal this year. But I have yet to see a time, other than like them catching a deep ball, of them taking a slant and just going like 40 yards with it. And Christian Watson, as we know, he's got that big playability. I mean, look at last year, 21.4 yards a catch. He's averaging 17 yards a catch through the first 4 seasons that he's been in this league. And I think that's going to help the big playability in this offense. He's got the long speed. He's got the short area quickness. If he just gets those hands down, right, and doesn't make mistakes dropping the football, he's a guy who could take like I said, just a 3-yard quick slant, take it to the house, and that changes the trajectory of these games. And again, I'm not talking bad about Romeo Dobbs and Matthew Golden. Love both those cats. But Christian Watson, he's a different type of receiver than they are. I want you to fill in the blank. Christian Watson will be active week blank. Reminder, this Sunday's week 5. The Cincy game's week 6. Cardinals game's week 7. Pittsburgh game is week 8. You let me know down below. I would say 8, but you guys might feel differently than me. The last reason why this changes everything is because of the Jaden Reed injury. That was a big loss. And I think it was overshadowed by the fact that you started 2-0 and you played that whole second game without Jaden Reed. And so I think a lot of us were saying, man, this team might not even need Jaden Reed. And yeah, your offense still played well against Dallas, but you want as many weapons as you can, like I said earlier. And we know the recovery time for what he had surgery on, that Jones fracture on his foot, it could take a little while, right? From 2010 to 2015, we've showed you this before, 42 Jones fractures were identified in NFL players. 15 players returned in 10 weeks or less. 27 returned after 10 weeks. The 4 players who returned before that needed a second surgery. And after it, you actually saw a decrease in performance by 59.2% for the guys who returned before those 10 weeks. A 9.4% increase in the players returning after those 10 weeks. So my conclusion for that, like with Jaden Reed, take all the time you need. He might be back week 17. And if that's the case, I'd be happy with that for him. Kind of on the same boat as Christian Watson. Take all the time you need to recover from injury. But if that is the case, having Christian Watson, a guy that Jordan Love can have trust with, a guy that Jordan Love's played a lot of football with, is only going to be better for your team with Jaden Reed being out. Make sure you guys got me followed on social media, at Joey Petersen 8. I made it super easy for you. Same handle, both platforms. I also made it even easier for you. I put those links in the comments and description of today's video. And if you're not subscribed, change that today. And if you will, we'll see you next time.